Hello friends, welcome to my channel, a channel for learning simple coding. If you find this video to be helpful, please like, share and subscribe my channel. In last video we have learned about loading UI. So with the help of loading UI, you can solve the problem of heavy page, or you can say the page which taking a lot of time in loading. So you can fill the gap with the help of loading UI. But sometime we have a heavy or large page, that problem is not solved by loading UI because it's taking lot of time in loading. So you can divide the page into multiple components. Means if a big component is there, if big page is there, so you divide that page in multiple components, and each and every component you call under suspense component. Remember that suspense component or suspense function is a concept of React.js, and it's just like a loading UI. In loading UI we have a separate file, loading.jsx, tsx or js, for giving the illusion that something is loading behind. But this suspense component is give same kind of concept, but it used to provide streaming in Next.js. Streaming means to divide your large component in a small component and individual small component call under suspense component, so that they can load individually and your whole page, complete page should load first, and after that individual component will take their time in a loading. So with the help of example, I'm trying to show this. Suppose here in the last example we have a student one, and here you see that if I click on a student and it streaming is coming and it's showing that something is loading behind, and after that this student page is coming. But suppose that this student page is also too heavy, so I am reducing the time of this loading UI here, but I am creating a two more component here for a student. So I create here component, I say student marks.tsx like this, and I say RAFCE, so it is the student marks. Here I use class name, so I say font bold like this. So this is student marks, no problem at all. And one more component I just create here, and I say student info.tsx, remember, and I say RAFCE, and again I just say class name and I say font bold like this, no problem. So this is also, and individually I also use this function here. So I copy this, and here also I create this function, and here also I create this function, and I just call this function here and call this function with different time. So I call this here, take async here. Similarly I call it here also, and I call async here. And here I say it will take 4 or 5 seconds, and here I say it will take 3 seconds of time. I'm just trying to show you that this student page is taking lot of time in loading, and what is the solution of that. So here I'm calling this student info and student marks like this. I'm calling these two component here, you see, simple one. And I'm trying to use it, you see it already spinning lot, you see. And you see that I click on home, then I click on student, and you see that this is spinning, and it taking lot of time because these student info and student marks both are taking long time in loading. Remember that the time of this page.file is only 1 second, but for loading this marks is 3 seconds, and loading of this student information is 5 seconds. If I increase the time of this, and you will see that it is too long time to load this page. I click on student, and you see that it spin, and it's taking lot of time. So I'm using loading UI also, but after using loading UI I am not able to solve this problem because it's showing me spin, and the problem is there in these two components. So I have to solve this problem. Remember that I have to solve this problem, and I have to load the page first, and then individually I have to load this component, so that I can show user that this student home page is display and these components are coming one by one. Such kind of things I have to show here. You see that this student marks is taking here. If I go to student marks here, you see that student marks is taking 3 seconds of time, and this student info is taking 8 seconds of time, but this whole page is taking only 1 second of time. Remember that. So loading UI is working perfectly, but this two component also making this page slow. So I'm just giving a illusion here that because of this page, these component, this student page is very slow and it look too old. You see that it's just streaming, and this student page should be load in 1 second, and after that these components should load, but they are loading together. That's why they are taking a lot of time. So what is the solution of that? Solution is streaming. So with the help of streaming, we can overcome this. For that, what we have to do, we have to call this suspense here. Suspense we have to call here, and under suspense we have fallback function. So I say here fallback, and under the fallback I just use here h1 tag, and here I say loading like this, and I am just closing this suspense here like this. So I close this here. You see that this suspense we have, under this suspense I'm using this component loading like this, and I'm using this suspense here. Similar to this, I have to use suspense for this also. So I say suspense and I say fallback, and here I use again h1 tag, and I say here loading, and here I close it, and under this I call this student marks. I save this, and now I try to run it. So now this page is running, and if I click on a student here, you will see that it taking just a small amount of time, and then loading is coming for this, and individual component are loading, you see, after certain time. But my page is loading fast. Remember that. Again, you see the demo. If I click on a student, then it is spinning and it take only 1 second of time. Then individual component is loading. You see, after 3 seconds, this student marks is loading, and after 8 seconds, this particular page is loading. But because of these component, my student page is not delay, not slow. So I can overcome the problem that was coming in this page because of the heavy component of student marks and student info. Remember that. So loading UI is not a single solution in Next.js. Loading UI is a better solution, but sometime our page is too heavy to load. So we can divide that page in a small component, and with the help of suspense component here, just call that component within this suspense component, and we are using here this. In place of this, we can also use spinner here. Remember that in place of loading, I can use spinner also here. Spinner component I can use here. Remember that I can load spinner also. So I copy this and I just paste it here also. So in place of this loading impression, I can use spinner also as I load in loading UI. And now you will see that if I go to home and once again I go to student, then student will take small amount of time, and you see that the two spinners are coming to loading my component also. Remember that. You see, one by one it taking a time, and so not only the text, you can give the component also, and it show you that something is loading behind. So with the help of suspense component, you can implement streaming in Next.js. I think you understand now what is the concept of streaming, what is the difference between loading and streaming. That is clear to you. If you understand now what is the difference between streaming and loading UI, how streaming can help in loading UI, if you understand all the concept of this, so please consider to subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching this video.